How's it going, everybody? Welcome to a brand new video. Today we are bringing you a video about Tron, and really we're going to be going into detail analyzing Tron in this pivotal stage. The acquisition of BitTorrent is essentially going to be a bumpy road. Nobody said that it was going to be easy, but it's really necessary when you consider where Tron is going to be headed. And essentially, I think that Tron definitely does have a lot of strategic maneuverability when you take into consideration the different variables that are happening. The decline of Facebook being a really big one. Tron and these decentralized alternatives to these old social media, legacy paradigm, it's really a symptom of a much larger thing that's happening. And the fact that cryptocurrency is right at the center of it, I think that Justin Sun really does have his has a good sense of what's happening, essentially the pulse of cryptocurrency, as it were. And really, it's interesting to see these different articles, how Tron is revolutionizing the entertainment industry. And I'm definitely interested in seeing how various different celebrities are going to rise up on these different media platforms like Tron, because of course YouTube was a big game changer in 2005. We saw new celebrities rising up in a way that people really couldn't comprehend before, and I'm wondering how blockchain is really going to be playing a role in how celebrities are created from here on out. And we have been seeing celebrities being more and more interested in cryptocurrency, and Tron, the Tron founder Justin Sun in and of himself really is become something of a celebrity out of this time. Now, nothing really interesting happening in the market. Sort of things have been staying around the same place where they've been. Nothing really dramatically falling, rising. Bitcoin dominance where it is at 53.3%. So listen, nobody can really control what the whales are going to do. Nobody can predict or determine how the whales are going to act. And ultimately, unless you've got enough money to really swing around in this space, which, I know I have a lot of a far-reaching audience, but not to toot my own horn, I'm sure that there are some whales who probably watch my content, and I'm sure that you're well aware of, the impact that any amount of money has on this space. But at the same level, who really even has $208 billion to throw around? But as far as cryptocurrency goes, seeing the way that these different variables have been coming together on an international level, it is interesting to see how these different things have been happening. And essentially, today it might not be a very interesting day, but hey, for me, I'm most interested in cryptocurrency when things are in the red, because I never really, when other people are panicking, that means that I'm celebrating it. Realistically, it's interesting to see a lot of the people who have mixed reactions. If you're buying cryptocurrencies when they're at their all-time highs, you're obviously doing something wrong, because there's certain just foundation things that people don't do generally in this space. But hey, I guess noobs get themselves involved with it all the time. But all that being said, I can only stress enough that the only thing that separates the people who are outright gambling and the people who are making an investment are the amount of research that you actually do into any given project. And I would say that after doing my research into Tron, definitely one of the more interesting cryptocurrencies as we've been moving forward. I've been seeing a lot of interesting developments as far as Tron, uTorrent, and the future of Tron as things have been really developing in this space. And of course, it is interesting to see how Tron's been leveraging the international, basically the potential that the internet has waiting for it, and the fact that they're taking this decentralized approach. It's a vision that easily could reshape the internet, and Justin Sun really is a very interesting figure right at the center of this. People in the United States definitely need to understand the fact that where Justin Sun is from, people definitely do have value for these different things, like for example, people value intelligence as far as when you talk about people who, essentially are smart when it comes to, data analytical computer things. It's sort of a Steve Jobs sort of celebrity, but at the same time, I'd say that Justin Sun's doing more realistic things, in real time. And Asia really is a very developing part of the world, and of course, India, a lot of these different variables coming together. So it's important to look outside of your country, looking outside of the United States and seeing, Germany, Brazil, South Korea, and of course the fact that TRON does have headquarters in the United States and in, I believe it's Japan. And it's interesting to see how TRON's been using its employment process and leveraging a lot of these different variables coming together to make a really interesting team, which is also something that's important to look into. And of course, I was reading the white paper regarding TRON, and it is interesting from a data perspective. I mean, my opinion regarding TRON, generally positive, because I would say in the light of what we're seeing, we're definitely witnessing a huge paradigm shift. If you look in the news, what's happening with Facebook and all these different variables, all these old social media companies essentially coming to dramatic decline because they're really being outcompeted by a lot of these different new and rising technologies. And really, TRON definitely is at the center of a really cryptocurrency having the ability to overtake a lot of the other ways that people use the internet. Things happening really, celebrities seem to be eager to align themselves with cryptocurrency as early as possible, if anything, just to be along the way for the hype. But of course, groundbreaking geniuses like Kanye West are, of course, really forward-thinking people who have been leading our society in all sorts of ways. So it is interesting how these different, cryptocurrency is essentially really a paradigm shift happening on the foundational level. So I wouldn't be surprised to see, all these different people getting involved, and in particular, Kanye West talking about TRON. I'm definitely interested in cryptocurrencies like TRON and Cardano and these various different technologies that have the ability to provide decentralized media. And what essentially that means is that it's going to reshape social media the way that we understand it to be. Because take into consideration, for instance, the fact that, Facebook is essentially over. I mean, nobody's buying stock in Facebook anymore. I mean, let's get real here. Now, nobody cares about what's happening with Facebook at all, and people aren't using it. It's essentially a platform for people's grandmothers at this point. I mean, nothing against Facebook at all, but just to say, I mean, the fact of the matter is they have been really, manipulating the way that their user base functions on the website, and getting into issues as far as the way that they censor people, and on top of that, the way that they treat data. Facebook is generally just an irresponsible company, and it's part of the past. It's essentially part of that old wave of social media, and the new wave, essentially the future is going to be technologies like TRON, essentially cryptocurrencies that leverage the decentralized elements of the internet, and essentially bring us into the next paradigm, and really where that's going to be is platforms that work correctly, and don't essentially have it is interesting to see how it's all coming together, but all these different variables, the decentralization of the internet, it's really something to look forward to, and these different projects are definitely bringing it all together, in a really opportunistic time. Yeah, remember, I'm not your dad. I'm not a financial advisor. Obviously, this video is for educational purposes only, but it is interesting to see how cryptocurrencies are really bringing us into the next age, and making it possible for really the true vision of the internet to be realized. And I think technologies like TRON and various different cryptocurrencies could be right at the center of that. And I think that the different celebrities and so forth have definitely caught on board and seen that there's a lot of potential for these different platforms. And I think people like Kanye West are certainly aware of these different variables as they've been coming together in such an interesting way. I mean, maybe one day we will see the Kanye West Dogecoin type thing. But I mean, one could only hope, right? It is interesting to see these different variables as they've been coming together. But I digress. You know what I mean? It's all just for fun. But yeah, I mean, it is interesting. I mean, definitely, if you guys are interested in continuing the conversation, definitely make sure that you guys follow us on our official Twitter. You guys can do so very easily. And now, of course, remember, I'm not your dad. I'm not a financial advisor. This video is for entertainment, educational purposes only. But it is interesting seeing all these different things that have been happening. And of course, if you guys are interested, you can connect with us on Snapchat. Of course, feel free to subscribe and connect with us on Twitter as well. Of course, our Twitter is at CryptoTuber. Same thing as always. So if you guys are interested in connecting with us, feel free to do so. And all that being said, I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. Have a good one.